The fact is, the moment you bring sadhana in daily life, all that you enjoy in your daily life becomes much more enhanced. With a prayerful mind, your delight that comes from food becomes much more. With a prayerful mind, all activities in your life, your day brightens up if mind has a prayerful movement. So you are bringing sadhana in life. It simply allows you to become increasingly aware of your inner potentiality. Om Vasudeva Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita in chapter 6. The chapter is entitled Atma Sanjam Yoga, the yoga of self-control, literal meaning. But this chapter gives you profound insight into practice of meditation leading to highest realization. Presently, verse number 35. Lord Krishna has gone on giving insight into two broad paths, the path of Sankhya and the path of Karma Yoga. Sankhya, a constant movement towards profound understanding that the soul, I am the soul, not the body. First point. Therefore, body will go through all sufferings, but not I am. That I am, the soul, is immortal. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Weapons cannot cut it. Fire cannot burn it up. Water cannot drown it. You can imagine many more things. This profound understanding, and going to another step, soul is a ray of God. And the third step, soul is one with God. It's always able. I'm never tired of giving you the episode of Hanuman and Rama. Rama asks Hanuman, how am I related to you? Deha buddhya tu dasoham. From the point of view of the body, I am your slave, you are the master. Jiva buddhya tvadanshaka. From the point of view of the soul, I am a ray, you are the sun. Atma vidya tavaivaham. From the point of view of the innermost self, there is no difference. I and you are one and the same. If you digest these three, you have digested all the Vedanta, all the religions. All the wisdom of past, present, and future. Now, what does it imply? Allowing the mind to be drawn to God within you, instead of wasting its energy over lots of things. But this, and put it in a broad way, what is needed in your daily life is practice of integral yoga, doing your duties, but with the special attitude of purifying your heart. That requires satsanga, profound involvement in spirituality. That's called karma yoga. How to go on changing the daily style of your activities into something that is spiritually rewarding, enriching. Bhakti yoga, while going on doing your duties, how to develop love of God. Should also understand in a profound way that any expression of love has its root in God. It's God whom you are loving. It's God who is the object of your love. If that insight were to grow, the loving relations will have more quality and security. If that point is not understood, then your loving relations are business arrangement. The moment there is misunderstanding, something discordant, people lose their balance, their integrity. But if you understand that it's God who is love, God in your mother is serving you, God in your father, God in husband, God in wife, God in all relations, in all humanity. You can come down even to God in the puppies and kitties. If God is not in view, your heart will be tortured when you see any loved one pass away. But if God is in view, passing away of different names and forms, you view it as soul's evolution, soul being drawn to God, not as a loss. General idea is confusing the soul with the body. In all loving relations, it's not the body that is being highlighted, but the spirit. And in order to highlight spirit in each other, there has to be bearing insult, bearing injury, living a life of harmony, resolving problems by love, not by hate, by non-violence, not by violence, treading the path of truth, satyam, ahimsa, non-violence, and purity. All that. So, as I was enumerating, karma yoga, yoga of action, yoga of devotion, where feelings are transformed into divine love. And the third yoga is yoga of meditation. How your mental spirit, mental will should become sublimated or considered elevated. The will not just to maintain your body, will not just to stay with objects of the world, will to become free of the cycle of birth and death, allowing the will aspect within you to become divine. That's called Dhyana Yoga. And that is being the topic. And the last one is Jnana Yoga. How to allow understanding, that's the deepest level within you, understand. How to make that understanding lofty, sublime, understanding that handles the greatest revelation. I am that am I. With that goal in view, your intellect shines brighter and brighter. Without that goal in view, you can make your intellect shine. But allowing the intellect to become quite inflated with lot of knowledge is not always good. A lot of negativity comes from it. I don't have to go into details. You must realize that all these terroristic movements have a lot of intellect behind them. All the misuse of bombs and all the advanced techniques, technology, all the misuse comes out of ill-directed function of intellect. However, what is most expected out of you is allowing that intellect to move towards discovering who am I, realizing. In that process, intellect turns into intuition. And you see a big difference between intellectual understanding and a profound experience. When the experience has become profound, you have gained the highest. That's your goal. All these points have been given to Arjuna, and Arjuna is quite excited about attaining the enlightenment. But then he complained that, "Oh Lord, I find all this attainment impossible because it's the mind that must enable a person to attain the goal. But the mind is like wind, controlling wind. That's impossible. And since control of mind is impossible, I do not see how can I attain the goal." Folks, from a broad point of view, this is a persistent problem with every individual, whether you are aspirant or not, or even if you are aspirant and great advanced yogis, still mind is your challenge in different levels. And we shouldn't be upset by it. Rather, that is the characteristic of a vitality, of life's glow. Life shines because your mind is allowing you to discover that which is beyond the mind that is allowing you to control it, culture it, transcend it. To this, Lord Krishna answers, "Asanshayam mahabaho manodur nigraham chalam, abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate." Lord Krishna said, indeed, the mind is restless and difficult to control, but it can be brought under control by the practice of Abhyasa and Vairagya. Two great terms, Abhyasa. Abhyasa literally means repeated effort. And Vairagya means dispassion. But you need to have a profounder understanding. And I will elaborate this point. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali Maharshi Those sutras, they are being brought by Krishna. In Yoga Sutras, in the first chapter, 12th sutra, it says, Abhyasa Vairagya Bhyam Tannirodha. Mind can be controlled by Abhyasa and Vairagya. And then the sutra defines Tatri Sthitau Yatna Abhyasa. Continue to exercise your effort for attaining the goal. That continuous, repeated effort, that's called Abhyasa. Then it further elaborates Satu Dirghakal Nairantarya Satkara Sevito Dridha Bhumi. Abhyasa, any spiritual discipline that you are adopting, say for example japa, practice of meditation, reciting mantras or prayers, satsanga, swadhyaya, think a few points. And when you bring it into your life, it should be repeated day by day. It should not become a burden. You shouldn't practice abhyasa with the idea, I'm going to give a chance to this abhyasa. Practice 7 days. If it doesn't yield the result I want, I will give it. But abhyasa should become natural, just like eating, drinking. I'm not talking about drinking, big drinks. For general maintenance of your body, so many things you do. And you go on doing it. You never say how long I have to go on doing it. Rather, you live for doing those things. Live for getting the tea in time, getting certain amusements, and so forth. Day by day, you enjoy. Why shouldn't sadhana be a part of that type of enjoyment? The fact is, the moment you bring sadhana in daily life, all that you enjoy in your daily life becomes much more enhanced. With a prayerful mind, your delight that comes from food becomes much more. With a prayerful mind, all activities in your life, your day brightens up if mind has a prayerful movement. So you are bringing sadhana in life, it simply allows you to become increasingly aware of your inner potentiality. It allows you to be more joyous, more energetic, more enduring, and it enables you to develop all those great qualities, virtuous qualities, for abhyasa to lead you to success. So to dirghakal, practice not with the idea for a short period of time. Continue, no matter how long. Another point, nairantarya, practice day by day, not with interruptions. A few days and then after drop few days, then you come back again. No, it should be like you take medicine and you do it day by day, realizing it has a cumulative effect. If you use ordinary mathematics, doctor has prescribed take 1 tablet every day. You calculate, you are a bright student. You may take 7 tablets and be free for a whole week. much in the same way. It should be constant, unbroken. Satkara sevito. Third point, there should be a sense of joyousness, a sense of divine privilege that God has allowed me to practice japa, to meditate on Him. Any sadhana you are doing, do it with a sense of joy and a sense of thankfulness to God. Not with this, with a perverted mind. Oh, how miserable am I have to do japa in order to get things done. You have to go to satsanga. Could have had wonderful. When you have adopted these points, your abhyasa will become perfect, to lead you to your goal. But along with abhyasa, another point has to develop, Vairagya. Vairagya is just like you have to do certain good deed. In the beginning, your hands must be washed perfectly. Washing the hand and then doing with your hand. The washing aspect is Vairagya. How much impurity you are removing from your mind. Impurity term has broad implications. Everyone suffers from it. It's very deep rooted. All human beings come into the world with lot of moha, delusion. And based on moha, a lot of attachment develops. And attachment is not conducive to real progress, as I have explained to you before. Suppose there is a child in your family who is student, who is growing, and parents become so attached to the child that don't want the child to go out anywhere, to stay. The animal world knows this point very well. The birds, they wait for the eggs to bring out the young ones. The young ones come in, now they wait, and they start kicking the young ones. Get out. Learn to fly. In a subtle way, nature teaches how to get out of the limited circle of moha. And that's called Vairagya. And Vairagya has different stages. Greater the Vairagya, greater is your inner strength. As you succeed in sadhana, the degree of Vairagya develops. And Vairagya should not be computed with developing a bitter feeling towards the world. I'll give you a simple illustration called Smashana Vairagya. Some near and dear one dies and you go into cremation or burial, whatever. But during that day or during few days more, there is sense of dispassion. Oh God, you are the only one. But then that goes away. That doesn't stay. So now let me give you this subtle psychology of Vairagya. Drashta anushravik vishaya vaitrishnasya vashikara sanya vairagyam. First, the definition of Vairagya is given in Raj Yoga. Not having craving towards objects of the senses. Drashta anushravik. Objects that you can see. Or someone tells you about those objects, you hear about them. Two ways mind is fascinated by objects of the world. Another level of meaning. Not only people are desirous of enjoying objects in day-to-day life, but they have also dream of enjoying after death. They have not, in their practical experience, after death is beyond the range. And yet they have heard from the scriptures, people who have done good karmas, they enjoy wonderful things in heaven. And your mind gets so interested. You find it's a wonderful time is waiting. But subtle insight must develop that senses and their enjoyments, they are extremely superficial. Your goal is not to secure perpetual enjoyment for your senses. Your senses play very little part. Simple point to understand, follow the chariot example. Senses are your horses. Mind is the reins by which you pull them. Intellect is the driver. The soul is being driven. So let not chariot belong to the horses. This whole plan of the chariot should not be taken away by senses and sense objects. Otherwise you become senseless. Allow the mind to control the senses. In order to do so, allow the intellect to enable the mind to have that type of strength. So all this discipline comes in harmony with developing Vairagya, dispassion. There are different stages of Vairagya. First stage, yatamanam, striving stage. In a striving stage, your mind has to use tricks. Speaking jokingly, the idea is your mind has to exaggerate a little. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshana. Everything that fills the human mind with great joy, try to sit back and understand. The child has come into a house, it's a great joy. But try to understand that soul could have attained liberation in the previous life. Has come into the world. And even having come, the first thing the experience is a crying. And what we were doing, enjoy. It should have rung a bell within me. May I not be born again. Looking at the world so filled with elation and involvements, but understand they are all transient. Ask yourself, how long? How long will be all this expression of glory and power? Don't allow your mind to be fascinated by attainments that are confined to time, space, and causation. Because that attainment is always shaky and not really fulfilling. Upanishad calls it alpam, little. All attainments that are recognized by your mind, senses, attainments that are in the form of enjoyments of objects. All those attainments are like, if you think of the sun, and all the illuminations come from the sun. All the illuminations that come from the sun, they strike your senses, your eyes, your ears, your senses. You see how wonderful they look. And if there's a little sound coming from the clouds, how wonderful it appears. The sun is one side and thunder another. All that gives so much, like sense enjoyment. But behind all this enjoyment, if you put all the enjoyment together, and if you could put just one glimpse of the sun in your heart, what is truth? The sun. All this is fluff, fluff of illusion. Enjoy the fluff as long as you know that you are worshipping the sun. That's the message. Fluff is not useless. You are within the fluff. Enjoy it, regulate it, outwit it. Transcend it. And add to the fluff. In a way, it goes on promoting happiness and harmony in the world. But fluff is a fluff. It's not the reality. That's, as you go on moving towards it, there are 3 stages. First stage I was explaining, seeing negative aspects of pleasures of the senses. As you advance, you develop a sense of degrees of control, implying that different people have different temptations. And you begin to understand now, I have strong will. So no matter how tasty food is presented, I'm not going to be shaken. But then there are other temptations that I'm not sure of. So your mind recognizes degrees of control, called vyatirekam. Third level, ekendriyam. You come to a state where mind is relaxed. You have gained success in disciplining your senses. Senses are like pets. Early stages, they're not under your control. And they will begin to love them so much that you also become out of control. Then gradually you realize you are controlling them in degrees until you have come to a state that pets have become completely devoted to you. So when there is a time for them to go out, they bring their chain in their mouth. When you come to this stage, you have succeeded in self-control. Until that, effort has to go on. This stage called ekendriya, mind is now the only that you need to work upon. You go into next level, it's called vashikaram. Mind also comes under your control. Even the mind will not just bring a whimsical idea and lead you into trouble. So far is the description of upper Vairagya, lower Vairagya. There is still higher Vairagya called Paravairagya, supreme dispassion. Supreme dispassion is a matter of purity of intellect. As intellect begins to shine, your focus goes on, who am I? And your insight develops. The I am in you is not confined to time, space. The entire world of Maya, that I am, is not confined. Therefore, you develop dispassion towards the entire world of Maya with a profound resolve. May I attain moksha, liberation. Not any glorified status anywhere in the universe, but the liberation. Nothing else counts. That's called Paravairagya. Abhyasa and Vairagya. These are the two great ingredients to enable an aspirant to ascend, to succeed in sadhana. Here again, the scriptures give more details. Your abhyasa can be in 3 stages: dull, medium, intense. Your vairagya can be dull, medium, and intense. When we begin to blend these two, permutation and combination. Let me give you some mathematical one. Dull vairagya with dull abhyasa. 1 point. Dull vairagya with moderate abhyasa. 2nd. Dull vairagya with intense abhyasa. Now go on combining that way. Similarly, medium type of vairagya, but dull abhyasa. Medium type of vairagya with moderate type of abhyasa. Medium vairagya, but intense abhyasa. See, the results vary. The aspirants, therefore, are many types. They don't belong to one class. That's why teachings have to be presented in so many ways. A person with dull vairagya and dull abhyasa, the ears are blocked. You need to awaken them by giving them some promise. If you do this, you are going to get a lot of punya karmas. You know what punya karmas do? You will have wonderful wealth, will come raining down. I'm exaggerating it, but at the same time, not really exaggeration. So Krishna says that mind is it's true that mind is like wind, difficult to control. But if you take recourse to Abhyasa and Vairagya, it can be easily controlled. But along with Abhyasa and Vairagya, let me give you the next verse. Asanjatatmana yogo dushprapa iti me mati. Vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptum upayatah. It is my view that yoga is difficult for anyone who is lacking self-control. But it can be attained by one who has mastered his lower self. If he adopts upaya, Sanskrit word, literally meaning proper means. Subtler meaning, Ishwar Saranata, taking refuge in God, surrendering to God. Abhyasa and Vairagya blended with surrender to God. That gives you a full picture of a successful sadhana. And with this, I'm going to conclude. Om Shanti Shanti.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti